top of the world with Times Network. And you're watching ET Now.
Joining us right now, Yes Bank, and we have the MDs joining in, Mr. Rana Kapoor, to talk about this momentous occasion, the MD&CEO of Yes Bank, where on the same day in 2015, or rather 2005, you had Yes Bank hit the bourses. Mr. Kapoor, thanks very much for taking up the time to speak with us. It's been a long journey for Yes Bank and one that's rewarded all classes of investors. How do you look back at the journey, where the sector was particularly and where it has come to right now, and what's the future looking like?
Thanks. First and foremost, today is the 11th anniversary of Yes Bank's share listing on both the BSE and NSE, and I'm very happy to share with you that we are at an all-time high, which makes it a 25-bagger in about 11 years since listing at 45 rupees on July 12, 2005. Through the last 11 years and almost since formation of the bank approximately 12 years ago, we have been through what I would like to believe is a fairly volatile journey, because the first 3 to 4 years were incredibly fantastic because the economy was on a roll. And then, sometime towards the early part of 2008, with the global crisis onslaught in the Indian markets, particularly with the impact of Bear Stearns, Lehman, we faced a lot of headwinds from the global crisis and the Eurozone crisis, and then followed by the Indian crisis of sorts as well. And then more recently, volatility coming across from the large eastern neighbor. So we have seen, very tough and turbulent headwinds in the overall rollout and build-up of our bank. And I must say that it is very satisfying for our 15,000 plus Yes Bankers and our shareholders across the world that our journey has been satisfying. Today at our 11th anniversary, I'm very pleased to share that, we have a fairly decent report card for our shareholders, and that makes it extra special.
Yeah, being modest, Mr. Kapoor, Neeraj here, good afternoon and congratulations on this. But the mind boggles to think, Mr. Kapoor, if you've done this much in the last 11 years, what do you do in the next 11? What do you do in the next 10? We spoke some time back, about a month back, and you had given good, strong guidance up till 2020. But do you think there is growth beyond that as well? Would you believe a 20, 25, 30% CAGR growth is not out of the pencil completely?
No, Neeraj, we are very convinced that with the economic uptick pretty much resonating with the monsoon data points looking very encouraging, we see credit growth at our bank, in a range of between 27 to 30% for the next 4 years, most definitely till 2020. So I think this is a period of growth. It's quality growth focused on certain sectors which are bouncing back. We are seeing a resurgence in infrastructure, selectively though. We are seeing far more improvements in capital goods and overall improvements in industrials. So I think the opportunity for a bank like ours to really transcend into a larger bank, if not one of the top 5 large banks in the country, by 2020 is most doable. Beyond that, we see ourselves really as one of the top 5 banks, public and private included. And you may think it's a very, very stretch objective, but when you do the arithmetic, it's quite possible, because if we grow at a CAGR between 25 to 27% for the next 9 years to 2025, we can certainly evolve as one of the largest banks in the country. And naturally, our model will be more and more intensified towards domestic banking. We are a home country bank, but we are also a good host country bank for multinationals coming into India. In fact, we are seeing tremendous progress on that front as well. So I think in totality, India is looking at the brightest spot. I'm actually in London at present in investor engagements, and continue to do so, for a while. Also, we are now fairly close to our silent period. And my point being that we are seeing growth, and we will be India's possibly one of India's best growth stories in Indian banking.
Right. Mr. Kapoor, that's pretty explicit in terms of your growth strategy going forward, and that's reflected even in the way the stock is done. This year alone, that's a near 60% return on Yes Bank. Give us a sense of how you're looking at funding this growth. You've already laid out a very aggressive fundraising plan and have appointed bankers for the same. And you're on, an overseas visit in London, talking to investors. What's the plan with arranging for the money for this expansion?
You see, capital raising is some time away because July and August are lean months generally in European and in the U.S. markets with lots of people on vacation. But we will plan a deal later this year. We see a lot of good news coming out of the Indian economy. We see our bank's results for the next 2 quarters hopefully will be very satisfying. And my larger point is that we want to raise capital. I think we have fairly good investor register which will build up in course of time. But most important right now is to also, in a way, reap the benefits of economy which is really, really improving rapidly. And the monsoon is going to be very good news. And interest rates coming off a little bit in course of time will also help stock.
You think, Mr. Kapoor, that a dovish Reserve Bank governor will help as well? I mean, the names doing the rounds, most of them seem a lot more dovish than the earlier governor. Do you think that will help?
In all fairness, I'm not the best person to comment on this, but I think the economic conditions today warrant that interest rates and real interest rates in the country need to be brought down. We are looking at economic scenario where there needs to be more growth, and this growth will also help in a way in subduing and taking care of the structural supply side, which is today in a way stuck. And overall, I think a lower interest rate environment will be tremendous for the Indian economy, for the Indian markets. And I think the Reserve Bank of India policies in course of time will also reflect. And I think there is an accommodative stance already built in by the current regime, and that messaging has been fairly lucid in the last 2 interactions of the credit policy of the RBI.
Right. On this momentous occasion, Mr. Kapoor, can't let you go without getting a perspective on where we are in the painful cycle of bad loans. How much more pain in the system? Of course, your bank has been a little more resilient than others, but given that we are looking at a new governor taking office soon enough, those will be the questions on the minds of economy watchers, market watchers, industry watchers.
See, my sense is distinctly that we are looking at a situation where almost all the recognition of bad loans in the Indian system seems to have happened. What probably needs to now accelerate is the remedial actions. So recognition, I think, is under control. The remedial actions need, I think, war-footing measures. Good restructurings where there is economic value preservation, a sale of assets to prune certain over-leveraged situations, and a bankruptcy code that once it comes in will also bring in timely discipline in terms of enforcement of some of these bad loans, so that there is salvage value that can be protected in businesses, going forward. So I think there are some good developments. I'm very encouraged. Very, very encouraged even with all kinds of, data points. And frankly, the response to our interactions in the U.S., in Europe, including London and Edinburgh, in Singapore and Hong Kong, more recently, even in Cape Town, part of my team went there. The India story is resonating exceedingly well. And I think India, the very bright spot, is becoming now a global consideration. And I think with the right kind of reforms, the right kind of policies being pursued, the recent FDI liberalization, to me, all this is going to be tremendous augmentation for the next stage of growth. And the next stage of growth to me is in the busy season. Literally, we drop anchor in October to March, the second half of the year, should be a fabulous period for this fiscal.
Yes, Mr. Kapoor, listing at a 47% premium on the listing day and then giving the kind of returns that you have. We thank you for joining today, but I'm sure your shareholders have been thanking you every single day for the last 11 years. Congratulations. Keep up the great work.
Thank you. Thank you, ET Now.
That's Rana Kapoor, and a fabulous journey for Yes Bank. I mean, if you invested in the stock on listing, you multiplied your wealth 22 times. I'm not even counting the dividend right now, and so just leave that out. Done anywhere between 20-25 times. I think it's just fabulous.
Even if you saw the...
You are on top of the world with Times Network. And you're watching ET Now.